Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back to review Succession, Season 4, Episode 4, Honeymoon States. Directed by Lorenz Scafaria and written by Jesse Armstrong and Lucy Preble. The calm after the storm, this was an episode that I was highly anticipating because you just knew that Logan's death was going to hang over everything that happened, and especially the episode after his death. There were some incredible interactions, you're just itching to see what state of mind are the kids going to be in, and also the old guard. When are they going to get the ball rolling of choosing a next successor and gutting each other in the back? And they didn't waste any time. So I thought the writing in this episode, it just keeps getting better. It keeps getting sharper. It's more intriguing, but it's also just so damn funny. And once again, before we record these reviews, we go back and forth with our favorite jokes, and there's just too many to name at this point. But I thought the title of the episode was probably the funniest joke, Honeymoon States.
Yeah.
So Connor was the only one who had a sort of happy ending at the end of episode 3. Now they're going on their honeymoon to Missouri and Iowa, Minnesota.
Every bride looks forward to their wedding and going to those destinations for their honeymoon.
Willa has become such a ride or die.
I mean,
she's tongue-in-cheek about it, but
I think, all right, we'll go to, Pennsylvania and Michigan, but, I got a $63 million house in the city.
Yeah, right. The give or take.
Yeah. When Greg's trying to jab back with Tom, when that dude's giving the speech.
Yeah! You fuck!
He's like, yeah, mold like a dick. And Tom's just like, come on, Greg.
He's elbowing him like, that's funny, right, Tom? Well, Tom, I think Shiv would like Tom more if he acted like that with Shiv. If he was a dick, always making fun of everybody, I think Shiv would respect that. When he's with Shiv, he's like, can I be nice with you? And Shiv's like, that's disgusting. Get away from me. I'm repulsed by your niceness. Just treat Shiv like you treat Greg. Besides, always putting her down and being a dick.
Yeah, balance act.
But he's such a, the theory of somebody who becomes a new man depending on what room they're in, that is Tom.
Yeah, we were talking about it before. He tried to suck up not only to every kid this episode, but to just everybody.
Right, anybody that could help him out here, because Logan was the one guy pulling for him, and Carl gives it to him so straight. I thought that was another incredible interaction, because they're all using their nice, polite business voices to go at each other, and then when he gives it to him straight, he just lets loose. He tells him that you're truly and squarely fucked. And Tom is frightened by it. He's like, Jesus, Carl, I didn't need that heavy dose of the truth.
Or when Jerry's like, well, Carl, everyone, what you did with cable in the 90s was, fantastic, legendary. And he's like, you were on your way out.
Yeah, no, he didn't even compliment her back.
Yeah.
He didn't try to butter her up. She's like, Logan wanted to fire you.
Logan was souring on you.
Well, Logan's not around anymore.
And that's what Roman says when he looks over at the room and says, Dad wanted to fire half of that room. But it's so funny, whenever Carl, Frank, and Jerry are scheming, it never goes the way they want it to. They always end up having to bend to the will of somebody who's part of the Roy family. It used to be Logan, now Logan's gone, and now it's Kendall and Roman, who are the new CEOs.
Yeah, that's going to work out great. Well, seeing the kids in this episode, coming off, obviously, the events of the prior episode where their father died, I think everyone was interested to see, how they would react. What would be their kind of vibe? And we saw a little bit of it last episode, but it really was trying to balance grieving your loss and what happened with the bigger picture decisions that they have to make about the business and about their future. Time and time again, it's just they can't put that away or can't put that aside for 1 second. They always need to be either watching their back or trying to make their next 10 moves in advance. And you see how each, child's kind of balances those and reacts to everything. Roman's pre-grieving, which I think he kind of did seem the most even keel or most like himself than the other two children. But yeah, those events leading up, I think the way it was structured and planned out, going back and forth between the children, between the other members of the board, not really sure what's going to happen, or at the end of the day is going to take this opportunity and use it to their advantage. And it seems like at the end of the day, I was thinking Roman for kind of using that play and kind of taking what the conversations him and Logan had in prior episodes and using that as kind of a way for him to get himself into the top spot. But we see at the end, Kendall. It's ironic, the most Logan he's probably ever been is at his own father's service. Or whatever. I don't even know what you call that. It's not a wake. It's not a funeral. I guess it's just a gathering of family and friends to...
Yeah, it feels like a memorial.
Memorial, yeah. I mean, obviously the big one when he has that press conference, but I think this was the most, like, killer Kendall we've seen.
Yeah, and we
except
also
for
got...
when he actually killed that guy.
Right. Yeah, everybody on Twitter was saying that the killer is back.
Yeah. That fucking smile he gives. Because he knows it too. That's what's not so, like, that's the thing about Kendall. Like, even when he does something cool as shit like that, he acknowledges that he did something cool in his facial expressions, and it makes it not that cool anymore.
Right, yeah, you can't bring attention to yourself. You gotta let other people tell you that you're cool. He's so proud of himself in those moments. I'm finally like Dad. Are you proud of me, Dad? Looking up like, no, I'm not.
Because I would argue, like, the press conference, like, that was out of, like, he was backed against the wall. Like, he needed to make that move or he was going to jail. Here, in this instance, you could argue that, like, he's the most free he's ever been. And they actually have a good thing going. But he chooses that time and place to finally be a true killer, not provoked.
Yeah, and I've done such a bad job predicting this show throughout the show's run, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing it. I did notice there were a couple of times when Kendall make the decision for the group and it looked like Roman was in disagreement, that he would overrule when Roman gets the call from Mattson and he wants to pick it up and Kendall's like, no, let's get our ducks in a row. And you can see the hesitation in Roman's face. And then there at the end, when they're given the two options of we can slander Dad or, we can build him up and say that you're his trusted successors, and Roman doesn't want to go the route of piling on Logan's legacy, and then Kendall goes behind his back and says, no, I'm going to leverage this shit I have. I'm going to leverage what I have over Hugo, and we're going to get the ball rolling here. I do wonder in his own mind if he's thinking this is what Dad would have done. I don't know. Sometimes it's like they don't even know their own father. It's like they're so busy trying to catch his legacy that they don't understand how to make their own path. And I think this is another example of that. I'm going to go down this darker road, even if it's not necessary, but it's what Dad would have done. And I'm going to smile like Dad, and I'm evil like you too, right? We will see. And of course, the big thing about the episode was the undated piece of paper with Logan's wishes.
Might it just go away?
100% crossed out.
That's what I love so much about this show is that they leave motivations and emotions. Everything is so ambiguous at times.
Well, each
so you
character,
don't really know.
Yeah, because each character can take it however they want to see it.
Yeah, it's literally a Rorschach test.
Yeah,
where they're passing it around. But the instinct for Shiv and Roman to throw him under the bus immediately, because this is what they're fighting for, right? It's the kids versus the old guard. And now here's a leg up, if you will. And as soon as they get that paper, they're like, yeah, no, that looks crossed out to me. And Kendall's like, well, sure as shit doesn't say Shiv.
Yeah. Well, I think...
And it's just like, damn, can't you guys be united? But eventually they do get there. And that was another great scene where you're seeing the kids. We've seen this throughout the season. They're more capable of being honest with each other. They can speak openly. They can tell each other the problems that they're having without getting too emotional, without getting too into their feelings. The relationship between the three of them is as healthy probably as it's ever been. And they decide to run this thing as a three-headed monster.
Yeah, in a way that I think many people might theorize isn't going to work out, specifically for Shiv. And going to Roman this episode, again, I think they're doing like a really, I don't know if it's like a bait and switch, and I guess we'll see, but they're really showing Roman in a light that shows growth and it's like stability more so than Kendall, that's for sure. But even the moments when he is consoling Kerry and like asks if this is all necessary, compare that to what our first introduction of Roman when with that little kid and humiliated him with during the softball game. Here he's actually showing compassion for somebody who is not doing well. And I don't think...
Poor Kerry lost her meal ticket.
Yeah. I thought she was going to make a move on Roman. But when we look at the decision the kids make at the end of the episode, I think that last scene could point to Kendall possibly not being genuine in his proposal to Shiv, or what he presents to her as, yeah, this is 6 to 8 months and then we're going to do it our way, the way we planned. Whereas with Roman, I think genuinely that's what he wants and that's what he thinks is going to happen.
Yeah, he went right behind both of their backs. First, they both did because they said, yeah, everything's going to run through all three of us. The first major decision, Shiv is not in the room. And then, as you said, Kendall stabs them both in the back. So, yeah, there's no way that this three-headed monster is going to be on the same page. It's going to be one body with 3 different minds. And once again, my predictions have been so bad, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just pull this company apart from the seams. And as you said about Roman, we do see that development where he is more even-keeled, where he's not reacting emotionally to everything like the kids do, where he has his problems with Logan, but I don't think he's chasing the legacy like the other two are. He doesn't have as much to prove, and I think that's because of where he started in the beginning. We saw him as kind of just the family fuck up, but maybe that does speak to his maybe not lack of, but he doesn't have this obsession with being number one and being the best. It's more so because he's capable. I do think that there have been signs throughout this season of, differentiating between the styles of leadership of Kendall and Shiv versus Roman. Poor Connor, though. The only decision that he had to make was whether or not he's going to buy the house from Marsha, who, talk about a epic return. I am a boss as Marsha. It's like she didn't miss a beat. Logan's gone and she's ready to announce her return.
She
knew. Most diabolical way possible. What she did to Carrie.
Yeah.
She's not only are we going to get her an Uber, but we're going to get her an Uber to the subway. So she could take the subway
small
home.
Apartment.
That is fucking diabolical, but
like, she didn't lose a step. She picked up right where she left off from.
Yeah, and Kendall was surprised to see her there, and she says that me and Logan were on speaking terms, that we spoke every night intimately. And Shiv goes, "It's great to know that Dad was having phone sex." But he gets a little insight into Logan's character. Once again, he's a very complicated man. And I think the women in his life, we see it with Marsha and obviously with Carrie, he leans on them too much. So the relationships he has with the women in his life are just as complicated as the relationships he has with his children. But you see it there that, it helps that he was filthy fucking rich.
Yeah.
But there was an emotional connection between Marsha and Logan that never went away. So Logan, he is such a layered man, a super complicated guy, and I think Kendall was surprised there to hear that.
But she could also be lying. That wouldn't be surprising.
No, it wouldn't. But it didn't feel like there's no benefit to it. She's another tough cookie, so you could see why Logan would lean on somebody like that.
Yeah, her passive aggressiveness is
legendary.
It's unmatched.
Well, Willa did throw that shit right back in her face when Marsha sees her and says, "Look how far you've come," and Willa goes, "Look how far we've come."
Look how far you've come.
Yeah. Well, look at us both, right?
Send that shit right back at her. But, "Hi, I'm a boss." She's got a great voice, too. The accent is just so charming, but underneath it all, there is a diabolical nature.
I want to believe you.
Right, yeah, sure.
And you're very convincing.
Good to have you home, Mommy.
Yeah.
Give me a hug. Yeah, but going back to Connor, poor guy, he's celebrating his marriage and, as we mentioned, the honeymoon states, but poor guy.
It would have been funny if they got the paper and it said, "I name my successor like Kendall Logan Roy," but it's legit crossed out and it just says Carl in pencil.
Yeah, it's funny because on Twitter they put up a poll, the Succession Twitter account, crossed out or underlined. And more people voted for underlined because I think that's what they want to believe. And there's just something about Kendall taking over.
You don't have to underline it. It's on paper.
Right, yeah.
That's all you need.
There's just something about Kendall taking over as CEO. It's because that's how the show started. They framed him as the protagonist. So even hearing that, it was a cool moment.
That Kendall take over as CEO.
And once again, it's never going to go as smoothly as it sounds, because how many times has he gone for the throne and it's failed? But this is, it was a different spin on it. He's finally CEO, but so is Roman. So that makes for an interesting dynamic in terms of the leadership position now. 2 brains instead of 1. And they did do such a good job of dropping that bombshell and keeping you on your toes, because time and time again, Kendall has gone for the throne and he's failed. He's fallen flat on his face. So even though we have this revelation, you're still thinking this isn't going to work out for him. And it is sad at the end of the episode when he takes the picture of the note, just constantly chasing Daddy's approval. He's going to be looking at that note maybe for the rest of his life. Was it crossed out? Was it underlined? Was it crossed out? Was it underlined? And that's why the ambivalence is so powerful and so realistic, because people are complicated and feelings change and things can be interpreted in many different ways. Ultimately, it's just heartbreaking for the character when you see the reaction on his face. Finally, I have Daddy's approval. But no, look, I don't know if it was crossed out or underlined. So it's just so much unresolved bullshit that is manifesting in that guy's brain. And Shiv in this episode is dealing with something similar where she feels like she's being left out. And not only that, but the revelation that she is pregnant. So she's bringing a child into the world when the situation around her is so precarious. There's so much uncertainty going into every decision that is being made around her. And it feels like the things that she truly wants is not the way it's going, where she's being forced to compromise with those around her. And I don't know, it feels like she did get the short end of the stick.
This is a dad promise on yesterday.
And the relationship stuff with Tom continues to be, when Tom's talking about their time in France, it comes off as very melodramatic. You can't even imagine Shiv having interactions like this. But it's sad because that's time that's completely gone, something that they'll probably never be able to get back. So it's the last thing that she wants to hear in this moment, right, where everything is so perilous, being reminded of a time when things were easy. And now it's the direct opposite. But as I said, getting that revelation, and they were sort of dropping hints throughout the season that Shiv may be pregnant when she refuses the champagne going into Connor's wedding. So, and now we see that, yeah, she has a child on the way.
I think Logan believed in reincarnation.
I feel like he did have some Buddhist tendencies.
And comes back as his daughter's son.
Right. Shiv's baby gonna come out sounding like Stewie Griffin and shit. So it was a distressing episode for her.
Yeah.
And you see it when they come to that decision. She just knows it. We'll keep you in the loop. But at the end of the day, she has no authority, so they don't have to answer to her. Roman and Kendall, they're fucking CEOs. They have the power, and you see it immediately after that meeting, that they go behind her back, they undermine her, and she's super frustrated. And she stumbles, she falls, doesn't want anybody to help her up. So I don't think that there's a character in this season that has felt more lonely than Shiv. You saw it in episode 1 when she comes home to the empty house and the dog doesn't even recognize her. There's nobody there to comfort her because normally it would be Tom, but as I said, their relationship is so sour at this point. So the loneliness that she's been able to convey through subtle means throughout this season has been very, very impressive. I hate the people that are like, oh, line her up for her Emmy, but maybe. She's been really good.
Yeah, I mean, they've all been fantastic. And they all are. that's something that all three kids share, is their loneliness. Obviously, they all deal with it in different ways, but, Shiv, for the most part, has always had Tom. Obviously their relationship has been strained. So you see her try to, I guess, regain maybe some of that comfort, but she still can't even forgive Tom. Or even if they do try to have a moment, it's not long before she remembers that, yeah, fuck this guy.
It was heartbreaking when she's talking about, oh, my dad is dead and my siblings are this and my husband, and she stops herself because it is something that you make your bed and then you have to lay in it. She's the one who set the standards for their relationship. She created these parameters of having an open relationship, and then now it's Tom who's the one out there painting the town red. And she's going through all of this shit. And the loneliness with Tom, when he walks in, they had that great shot where he looks over at the room with the kids, then he walks over to the executives. So he's picking his team. He's knowing that the kids aren't going to forgive him. And as you said, he sucks up to each one of them and they all sort of brush him off. And
at least Greg tried. He's like Tom Light, where he kind of tries to do the same moves as Tom, but he's just not good at them.
My guys, my lovely guys.
Okay, hey,
Bro, I was dying hysterically when he was like, oh, so that means I would be Kendall's number 2.
Maybe the natural conclusion might perhaps be I'd be his number 2.
That's up to interpretation. If that's an underline, then yeah, I'm second in command.
The fact that Greg's name is there.
Probably wrote it down so you can remember your name.
But Greg coming to that conclusion, he is just maybe the best written supporting character in the history of television. When Marsha's trying to kick out Carrie, and Greg's like, Marsha, look away. It's so unpleasant. Look away.
Easy. Don't look, Marcias.
Hey,
too unpleasant.
Sorry, what the...
So he's another one like Tom, just sucking up to everybody.
What did you say, waterworks?
Oh, here come the waterworks.
Oh, God. Here come the waterworks.
He's such a dweeb.
I liked Frank this episode.
Even I always love Frank.
Conversation he has with Kendall. And Frank obviously has a unique relationship with Kendall, being the one who stuck with him when they tried in that board meeting. vote of no confidence in season 1. He lost his job and kind of always was around for Kendall. And I think in that moment when he tries to telling him that he thinks his dad loved him, kind of reassuring him and trying to make him like kind of feel better. Well, that was nice. Like, especially in an environment where that rarely happens, where people can actually just take a step back and try to console a fellow human being. I think Frank has been one of those characters that, weirdly has always kind of been there for Kendall.
Frank makes decisions that are self-serving. He's just as ruthless as the other guys, but he is more in touch with his humanity, and he's always been sort of like a father figure towards Kendall. And these are people who are in the state of grieving, and they're grieving a man that emotionally tortured them throughout their entire lives. They're on the phone with him last episode, and they're supposed to say all the things that you would say to your dying parent. We love you, and you were a good dad, but we know that that's not the truth. It's always going to be unresolved, the issues that they have with their father. But at the very least, he has Frank there in these moments to, be a shoulder for Kendall to lean on, and he has been that. And I think that it goes a bit deeper because I think Frank has shown a confidence in Kendall's ability to lead, because he did back him, as you said, in season 1, even if it didn't go right. So at first, Frank was vying for Carl to be CEO, and Carolina and Jerry wanted Jerry to take on the role. And then, no, they realized, I guess the succession plan was for the COOs to take over. So Frank's cool with that. And as you said, he was there to pick Kendall up a bit. So that's nice. And he's a good actor. I think that a lot of the supporting characters don't get as much praise as the main characters because they are supporting, but they're all good in their roles.
Yeah.
Even a guy like Carl, as I said, the way he's able to switch from using the polite business voice to giving it to Tom straight. One of my favorite lines of the episode, man. So those characters were really fun to watch in this episode, and it's cool to see them get some more screen time. Even Jerry, when Tom says, I'm in a deep state of grieving. Jerry's like, yeah, I could see that. Your melancholy is getting all over the place. As Tom scarfs down a fish taco. Oh, it's so ridiculous. But yeah.
Gotta eat. Kendall really has just no friends, huh? Even Stewie, who's supposed to be like his best friend. Just not his friend. He just tries to open up and has that moment with him. And the next question is, well, what's in it for me? I wouldn't be able to last in this world.
Yeah, it is funny because these people are in mourning. Their father just died the day prior, but they all know what's going down. They got the board meeting at noon. So I thought that was actually a nice moment between Stewie and Kendall. Stewie's all business. He's always been that way. But at least he hugged him, right? At least he embraced him.
Yeah, bare minimum.
That's all you can ask for. What do you want him to get on his knees, suck his dick?
Okay. I thought they were friends. Obviously, they have a weird history and everything that's going on. And Kendall obviously can't express to him why he had to screw him over the way he did.
Right. Well, I think Stewie understood when he said there was no card he wouldn't play against me.
Yeah.
Stewie was like, damn, I knew he was evil, but that evil? He would sell out his own kid that way? Because whatever it is, it sounds bad.
How about Sandy making a good return, huh? He looks well.
So fucking funny, too, dude. The smile on his face.
Yeah.
And Roman goes, I think he winked at me.
Yeah.
So fucking funny, dude. He's literally the meme of the dude that showed up to his number one hater's funeral.
Yeah.
So good, man. But Stewie always embodied, out of all these characters, I mean, they all do, but him the most. It's not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
That motherfucker is straight business all the time.
Something assholes say.
No, he is no, without a doubt, he is the biggest asshole on the show, which is funny to say, because he is so self-serving. Mm-hmm. And I think, his role in the show, you never see anybody who's, he's got no family, he's got no friends besides Kendall that you ever see. So he almost feels like a lone outlaw, just stalking the Roy family to see how much he can steal from them in their moments of vulnerability.
Yeah.
But even when he's in the meeting, when they're discussing the paper, and Frank goes, oh, you want Kendall as CEO so you could be his puppet master, and Stewie's so offended by that.
You know what's sad now that I thought was hilarious, but now that I think about it, takes on a double meaning, is when they talk about, there's a lot of emphasis on grandchildren in this episode. But does Shiv say something about
oh yeah, that if she was, if they didn't send him on the plane, he would have been rocking his grandchildren to sleep for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Tom's like, yeah, he was so keen to do that, right?
But obviously with Shiv, it takes on a different meaning.
Right, yeah. As we mentioned that she's lost her father, but now she's bringing in a new life. So it kind of just, I don't know, it's a harder pill to swallow because those are the things you think about. When somebody's gone, you almost want to attribute things to them that they weren't. So this idea that Logan would have been Peepaw with a rocking on the rocking chair with his grandchildren on his lap. Yeah, that's, there's going to be some guilt there, without a doubt. And that's where these characters, they're masking a lot of their pain through humor. But that's a moment of genuine guilt and genuine regret about what could have been, even though if that's probably not how it would have gone. But those are the thoughts that creep into your head. And I thought, you mentioned it that Roman was pre-grieving. To me, that's a natural response for some people to death, where it doesn't hit them in the moment, where they're able to go through their day-to-days without being as emotionally drained as Kendall was in the first scene of the episode, or Shiv. It's definitely weighing on them more, but sort of being numb to it all. And I think with Roman, especially because he was on the best terms with his dad, I guess. He even says in the room that they talked within 48 hours, the last 48 hours.
And there's no guilt for him. He wanted to do the Gojo deal.
Right.
Shiv and Kendall who pushed Bring It Back to the table, which led him onto the plane.
Yes, it did. Yeah, so Roman, I don't know. We'll see where how the rest of the season shapes up for him, but it seems like he's been the one that has the clearest head, that's been making or that's been pushing the best possible decisions, but not everybody's listening to him. He still has that rep of a little bit of a fuck up.
And he has fucked up numerous times.
Yeah, but never in ways that matter. Like the debacle with the rocket ship.
It mattered to the person who died and their family.
No, sure, no, it mattered to them, but nobody that we care about.
That's true.
Yeah, as long as Jerry's safe. Where is Jerry?
No one cares about NPCs.
No, of course not. A bunch of red shirts. Talking of NPCs, when Colin showed up in his jeans, and they said he's like a dog without his owner. That really is Colin. You saw the shot at the end of episode 3 when he's watching the plane.
Yeah.
He does look so lost, so heartbroken.
There's a whole family.
They're like, Colin's got a daughter? And I do, somebody brought this up on Twitter, with Kendall going so hard at his dad at the end to put out all that bad shit in the press. Eventually, is Colin going to be the one who outs him? Because he does know, right?
I know you.
I think he's the only other character besides Logan who knows what Kendall did. And now Shiv and Roman.
Right, yeah.
So
if Colin makes a fucking play, I would respect the hell out of it.
That would be some Bran on the Iron Throne shit.
He's just been learning this whole time. Practicing his skills, yeah.
2 eyes in one, this motherfucker Colin. And fucking Hugo. What a dipshit. It's like, Kendall, I got something going on.
Yeah. I know insider trading, like, you shouldn't do it, but, like, if I was his daughter and got, like, wins, I'm probably selling. Nah, you gotta be better than that.
No, that motherfucker's going to jail.
With your thin-ass neck.
Yeah, no, he does have a thin-ass neck. Yeah, I noticed that this time around.
Thanks, Ken.
But yeah, another good episode, and apparently it's going to be 10 episodes this season, and each episode is a day. So I think that's a really fun way to structure this, because you're just so excited for the immediate aftermath of a titan like Logan Roy being killed off of the show. And how is everybody going to scramble? How is everybody going to scheme? So I think that's a brilliant way to wrap up this season, just giving us the day by day by day, which makes me so excited for day 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be like, yeah, the show just keeps getting better and better, especially after last week's episode. Like, how do you get better than that? But it's more of just a continuation of, like, excellence that has just been sustained for the better part of 4 seasons. Kept building momentum from right off the bat. It just progressively just kept building off of it itself.
Yeah, and we're at 4 out of 10 for this season now, so close to the halfway point, and it's been excellent.
Yeah.
So maybe this is shaping up to be the best season of the show, and that's awesome when a series this good can end off on its best season. So fingers crossed, but so far I'm very confident in these writers. All right, guys, that does it for this episode of Succession Season 4, The Honeymoon States. We will be back next week for Succession Episode 5, Kill List.
Oh, that's the name of it?
Yeah, that's the name of the episode. I think there's in the preview, it's like Tom saying, I've been told there's a kill list. Something like that. The metaphors on this show are so ridiculous.
No, it's probably just a legit kill list for Carl. Take out everybody on this list.
Carl does have murderous eyes. I could see that.
Wow, that was probably our best review yet. Hey guys, Aaron the Nerd Suit Monkey here with a brief shameless plug before we end the video. Do you ever feel like you don't have an adequate amount of nerd soup in your life? Like you're going to bed hungry and yearning for the nonsensical yet entertaining nutrients our podcasts provide? Well, we've come up with the perfect solution. The Nerd Soup Fan Question Podcast, exclusively available to our Patreon supporters. You can sign up now by visiting patreon.com/nerdsoup, and for the price of only $1 per month, you'll receive exclusive access to our weekly podcast where we answer your questions that don't make it to the main show. And while you're there, you can check out the other rewards we offer to our patrons, like stickers, mugs, t-shirts, behind-the-scenes footage, and appearing in the credits at the end of our videos. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Roll the names of the nerds who make Nerd Soup possible. The reason why the crypto crash didn't send our lives spiraling down a black hole of no return. Alright, I'll stop talking so you can listen to this jazzy-ass music while checking if Beau spelt your name wrong in the credits.